it's time to actually look at some Git commands, making sure Git is available, and we're going to run some configuration commands to make sure we are set up correctly. If we don't do the configuration now, it will eventually ask us to run the configuration, so we might as well get it over with, because this is a setup section, and make sure we are good to go to actually start using Git. All right, so this video is for Mac, and I will do exact same thing on a Windows machine because it's a little bit different. On a Mac, we do not need to install Git; it's automatically installed. On Windows, you do have to install Git, so I'm going to do it in two different videos. All right, so if you are on a Mac, the first thing you want to do is check if Git is installed. Most likely it is. In most cases, Git is already installed. If not, all you got to do is install it. That I'm just going to assume it is installed because I haven't seen a case where somebody has a Mac that they don't have Git already, okay? Let me know. If you happen to have a Mac and Git is not there, then you'll be the first to communicate with me, and I will create a video about that, how to install it. All right, so once you have Mac, open your terminal. I like to use iTerm. That's just a preference thing. You can open terminal or any other thing. You can open an integrated terminal in an IDE or anything like that. Just open any terminal and type git, G-I-T, or lowercase, space, -- version. A lot of times when you have some kind of executable or some kind of program and you want to know if it's there, you just check the version. If when you do -- version, most of the time -- version works. If you get like this program not found or something like that, that means it's not installed. So in this case, I'm going to do git -- version, hit enter, and I didn't get any error. I didn't say git is not found or anything like that. If I do some weird stuff and I do git -- version, it's going to say, hey, this command is not found, command not found. But in my case, when I did git -- version, it's saying I have this git version 2371. Okay, I do not know if this is the latest or anything, and I really don't care. As long as it's version 2, I think that's the only thing we care about. So we know Git is installed and it is there. Now let's check the configurations, okay? So I'm going to go back to the cheat sheet. In fact, I don't remember how to do this on top of my head. So the first thing is check if you already have Git configured, right? So we're going to run this command, git config global list. I'm going to copy that, paste it, hit enter, and this will give me my my configurations, my local Git configuration, right? On yours, those configs might show up, but they might not have any value, just like this one here. See this one? There's a config here. The key is there's a value is not there. So this configuration is not set at all. Okay, there's a bunch of them. And the ones that are important, I have them here. Global name, right? So you're going to run this. Well, let me type it to make it easier to remember. So let me clear the screen actually. Git config, right? That's the command, git config. Let's do global, okay? And what are we trying to configure? Username, user dash name, and inside of quotes, I'm just going to change it for now just so you can see. I'm going to say foo bar, okay? First name foo, last name bar. Now if I run the previous command, which is git config global list, then you can see that my name is changed. I just literally changed it, okay? So I'm going to change that back. I'm basically going to fix it. I'm going to say unshakeable is my name, all right? Now if I list the configs, you can see it is listed as the correct one, okay? This is the email I use for my Git account. So I have a GitHub account. I'm authenticated to GitHub account. Eventually, we're going to talk about different providers like GitHub, GitLab, Stash, or Bitbucket, all of those. In this case, the username I'm using is my email address for GitHub. This is just one of my email addresses. I get emails if you send it to that, but I don't recommend you do. If you need to contact me, use my main email, admas@supersqa. Okay. I know some people are looking at this and like noting it down. Don't do that. Not that it matters. All right. So the next important thing is the email. All you gotta do the same thing. Copy this, git config global username. Inside of double quotes, you have to do that. Inside of double quotes, put your email address, the email address you're going to use with or you are using with GitHub. If you don't have it, you can do this at any time, so you can skip this process, but you definitely should create a GitHub account. If you don't have a GitHub account created, every programmer, every developer, every QA eventually will need that, okay? It's one of the most popular repositories for code, so you might as well create an account. So put in your email. I'm not going to do that. As you can see, it's already set, but if I was going to, it would have been pretty much the same command as earlier. Then This will be, instead of name, it will be email, and then I'll put my email inside of the code, something@something.something. Okay, Control C to kill it. I did not execute this, I did Control C. All right, so those are really required configuration. These two, the name and the email, are required. Then there are optional ones you could set, and I do recommend you set it. Okay, first of all, make sure you have VS Code installed. So let me get my navbar here. I'm trying to get it here. So VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Make sure you install it. Okay, it is free. Visual Studio Code. You can just install this. This is an IDE. So one of the most popular IDEs. If you like, you probably already have it. You're probably using it, but there are people that are completely new taking this course. So have Visual Studio Code. Even though that's not your go-to editor, it's still nice to have. And you're going to configure Git to use it. So when we're doing some Git commands, often, we need to make comments. We need to write some stuff. And it would open an IDE, or it would open an editor, a text editor, so we can put in text. For example, there is this thing called a commit. The details we're going to talk about, right? A commit is like you're saving your work. So when you save, you put a comment saying, oh, this is what I did, or some like short thing for you to remember what that commit is about. So Git will actually want you to write that comment in some kind of text editor, and by default it will use Vim, VIM, which is basically has no UI. It's an editor that's in the terminal. If you're familiar with Vim, no problem, you don't have to do this part. But if you're not familiar with Vim, most people are not familiar with Vim, then you want to set this up so it will use VS Code as the editor. Trust me, it will make your life a lot easier, okay? So run this command, literally this command, just copy the whole thing. Assuming you have VS Code installed, install VS Code and run this command. And the same thing here. This one's a little bit more complicated to explain. Just run this exact code and this exact code right here. Just execute those. If we look at my config, for the editor, I have it configured to be that way. I think those are the only two I did. In fact, I can do this, right? One more thing, merge tool. Let me do that. Now if I run the list, now I have the merge tool configuration there, okay? Let me clear and let me do one more. I'm also going to do this. Since I'm asking you guys to do it, I'm going to do it too. There you go. If I list out my configuration, the two configs that I just added. So I want everybody to have that. It makes it easier for you to follow along. That's really all you have to do. So if you get this far, if this commands are not erroring out or giving you any problems, that means your Git is up and running, and you have it configured. So you are ready to start using Git. Okay, that's all for a Mac. Let's go look at it on a Windows.